but of course there is volatility. So we're talking about risks here. There's volatility. I mean, there's huge volatility. Just all kinds of.
What do you mean by volatility?
Just up and down movement of price. Okay, and so especially in the DeFi space right now. I mean, we're seeing that. The volatility is mainly up.
Decentralized finance.
Decentralized finance, and in that space, there's all these projects out there, and they're making going up 30, 40, 50, 100% every day. And it's,
so as you compare that to what most people are most comfortable with understanding, it's the stock market.
Yeah,
right. That has lately been fairly volatile, but over time is not that volatile.
Right. Yeah.
But there's a huge amount of volatility in this, primarily because it's a growing space.
Yeah.
But it begs the question: how do we decide how much a Bitcoin is worth? Right. So
exactly.
Great. I buy it today. How do I know next week it's going to be worth anything?
Right.
Could it go to zero?
Sure. It could.
But why would it go to zero?
I think it would go to zero if somebody hacked the network. I think the chances of that happening are very, very, very low. Right now, we're about $250 billion sure that they won't.
Isn't everything hackable these days? Don't you see something on the news every day where, I mean, my goodness, the credit reporting agencies have all been hacked. The United States government's been hacked. People with the most robust systems in the world have been breached. So why in the world wouldn't we think that Bitcoin couldn't be hacked?
It's because of SHA-256 cryptography.
Isn't the answer because it hasn't happened?
It hasn't happened,
right?
Yeah, it hasn't happened. Yeah.
And don't think out of
happen.
the multi-billions of dollars at stake that it's not one of the biggest targets in the world.
Absolutely. It's the biggest honeypot in the world.
Correct.
For one.
And it happens
hack.
to be that honeypot's located in the house where all the people who have the ability to hack it live.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
All the biggest hackers are the Bitcoin enthusiasts.
Right.
Yeah. So so right now we're $250 billion sure.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
That's the market cap of Bitcoin right now.
Meaning that's the total value.
That's the total value
of all.
if you multiply the number of Bitcoin there are times the value of one Bitcoin today, that's about 250 billion, maybe a little less than that.
But the other thing is, if somebody were to hack it and take a significant amount of Bitcoin, that also has an effect on the value of the Bitcoin. Of the Bitcoin.
Well, but see,
you can't just steal half the Bitcoin in the world and I've got $125 billion here.
No, you don't.
It becomes worthless. Yeah, at that point it becomes worthless. So a smart hacker would siphon it off slowly and not let anybody know that they have cracked it.
But to be able to, what was it a while back? They were giving examples about how long it would take to change one transaction.
Yeah.
And with the most powerful computer that was around at the time, this was a few years ago,
they're
talking
like
about it would
years.
take. I mean, it was something ridiculous.
Yeah, or 100.
Well, I just ask those questions because I would think that's on people's mind. Oh, wait a second, anything on the internet is not safe, or that's my money. My bank got hacked.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
The easiest way to view it is there's thousands of computers that have this ledger. You would have to hack thousands of computers simultaneously and change it on all of them at the same time.
Yeah. You would have very little time, and you'd have to have all the computing power in the world multiplied times 1,000, to be able to even get close to do it.
If you had the technology and the capability to do it, it wouldn't be worth your time.
Exactly.
To do it.
Yeah, you'd have more value than the Bitcoin.
And that's the beauty, right? And that's the beauty of not just that's sort of a maybe I don't know if it's intentional, unintentional way that works out, but there's in the code in a lot of cryptocurrencies. Again, those incentives and disincentives are programmed in. It's how it's meant. It's the beauty of it.
A lot of people will say things like kind of what you were saying. Well, hasn't it been hacked before? Haven't people lost their Bitcoin? Well, yeah, but it's because they weren't careful with their private key or they trusted
Bitcoin wasn't hacked.
Right.
People were hacked.
Person holding it.
Or an exchange. Yeah. So you had things like Mark Karpeles and Mt. Gox. That was one of the early hacks. And I don't know that was really even a hack. It was more of he was kind of doing a fractional reserve type thing where he was buying and selling Bitcoin, and it just got out of hand. Kind of became a Ponzi scheme.
So is an exchange kind of like a broker who you're buying it through, basically.
Yeah.
Brokerage house.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, and some of them, most of them are centralized, where they hold the assets, they hold the digital assets on on their servers.
Right.
Many of them in what we would call cold storage. That means it's not connected to any network, so you couldn't. I mean, even if you could get into their computer, you wouldn't be able to get the money that's in cold storage. So it's sitting on a server that's not connected to the internet, and it's got private keys that are protecting it that are physical. And so you wouldn't be able to get to that money, but they will. Pretty much every centralized exchange is going to have some money that's in what you would call hot wallets or hot storage that's connected to a network, and that would have vulnerability if you could get, like, if you had somebody on the inside that could go in and access the
sort of their
funds
readily accessible funds are
Yeah.
in one spot.
Right,
And then
It's
it's
kind of
got-
like the cash in the vault.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the cash in the vault versus the investments that are here, there, and yonder. So that's a centralized exchange, but then you've got decentralized exchanges that match up buyers and sellers and never actually hold the assets on an exchange. So there's no honeypot there to get, and that's kind of where.
And
we're
that would
going.
be similar to the brokers, like on the internet. If you buy a product, sometimes that person you're buying it from may not actually house it or
Yeah.
warehouse it or
Right.
have
Yeah,
it in their
drop
possession.
shipping it,
They're
yeah.
drop shipping it.
Yeah,
So it's
right.
similar to that.
Yeah, similar to that. All they're doing is matching up a buyer and a seller. So
But you just, for people that are interested in it, they just need to look for reputable exchanges.
yeah. Coinbase, Gemini, those are some good ones that are here in the United States. Kraken, Bittrex,
Voyager.
Voyager, yeah, the Voyager app. I mean, there are others. There's lots of them out there. There are, let's see, what else do we have here? Lots of risks in this space, so don't get taken in by scams and spammers and stuff like that. If you see, hey, you're going to invest in this and you're going to make 100% in a week or whatever, just stay away from that.
If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
probably
just like in
is.
everything else.
Yeah. Except in 2017, which was just a crazy year.
Yeah.
It's true. Pretty much you couldn't lose money.
What
matter
happened
you
in
invested
2017?
In 2017, the market cap of all cryptocurrencies went from about $15 billion up to about $800 billion.
So the price
So
of Bitcoin went from
It
what
went
to
from
what?
about $1,000 up to $20,000. The price of Ethereum went from about $7 or $8 up to $1,400. And there were some that were even crazier than that, like Ripple. Ripple went from 1 penny to $3.80 at the high.
And another interesting thing that helped drive that is, again, you're not just talking about the U.S. stock market here. You're talking about a worldwide market,
Yeah.
and it's
Borderless.
24/7.
Yeah,
There is
yeah,
no
there's no-
stopping. So
Yeah.
when we go to sleep, people on the other side of the world in Asia, they're going.
Yeah,
And so you
right.
wake up the next day,
Saturday,
and the
Sunday,
prices, every day, all day.
Yeah. It never sleeps.
And that was a huge snowball effect that
Yeah.
happened. And then, of course, essentially what happened after that? So later in that, early 18.
Early 2018, it just got over its skis, obviously. Anything that makes that kind of move, I don't know what the percentage there is, but thousands
People
of
started
percent.
having FOMO.
Yeah, people started, all these people started getting in, and they
FOMO
Missing
is?
out.
Yeah.
Fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out. Yeah. So you had all these people, jumping into something that they didn't understand, and they didn't, and I mean, any kind of way to value something was you just totally threw it out the window in 2017 and early 2018. I mean, just stuff was going crazy. It just made no sense at all. Just all kinds of people were coming in and throwing money at stuff, and they would either make a whole lot of money or they lost a lot of money. But so you started at 15 billion for the market cap of all the cryptocurrencies in the whole ecosystem at the beginning of 2017 to up to 800 plus billion by the end of the year, and then it crashed back down to about $100 billion.
Right.
So,
And where is it at today?
it's getting close to 400 billion.
Yeah.
Today. So it's about 380, 390, somewhere in there. I don't know. It's, of course it changes really quickly. But I think there are some diversification benefits that may be inherent in cryptocurrencies. They act differently than other traditional investments, traditional, index funds and stuff like that. I will say, I mean, just by way of, if you're thinking about this, and again, this is not investment advice, each situation is different. There are lots of risks that you need to take into consideration, how old you are, what kind of risk you are willing and able to take. Are you on track with your investment plan apart from this stuff. There's all kinds of questions you need to ask, but this stuff I think can give some diversification to your overall portfolio. But again, it should be a very small part of it. And if it's something that you're interested in, again, go to Coinbase. Another thing too, on Coinbase, you can actually learn about cryptocurrencies and earn it. So you can watch a little video and take a little quiz, and once you pass the quiz, they'll give you a little bit of cryptocurrency. So it's something that you could get to. It's very fascinating. I mean, this stuff is so fascinating.
I think that an interesting question about it too, or maybe to point out, is where are we in the continuum of this technology? Where are we? Are we in comparison to the internet? Are we 1987? Are we 96? Are we 2000? And I would say, I have no idea. First of all, I have no idea. Right, we're definitely not 2000, in my opinion, because when you get down to it, it's kind of like the companies on stock market. Do they make a thing that solves a problem?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fantastic ideas, amazing ideas in cryptocurrency right now. We're in blockchain-related companies, but there's really not very many use cases yet.
Right.
There's, in other words, we don't have a lot of products yet. We got a lot of great ideas, and until that happens, until people can access it, until they can use it, and not even know that they're using it, it doesn't achieve, to me, its greatest value. So this thing could be a baby right now, which means it could be 5 more years.
Sure.
It could be 10 more years.
The way things move.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
So
it could be
fashion, like 2017, like you said. I mean,
Yeah, I think we're probably
could be a
somewhere in the
couple
90s in internet.
Yeah.
internet
Time.
years,
Yeah,
internet
years
time span.
versus crypto. Yeah, I think we're probably somewhere in the 90s.
But it's like dog years, kind of.
Yeah.
But when you say that, it's like everybody, or you should probably remember the players in the early internet space that were
Netscape.
huge.
Yeah.
Netscape, right?
Yeah.
Alta Vista,
Yeah.
AOL. All
Yeah.
those that seemed unbeatable, unstoppable, juggernauts, early adopters, and they're in a museum.
Huge disruption.
So then you then look at all of your cryptocurrency, and you're just looking at going, okay, which one of you is which one of you is Google?
Yeah. Which one of you is Amazon?
Who's Amazon?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's what's fascinating to me.
Yeah,
is I have no idea. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Exactly. So, all right. Well, I appreciate everybody joining in with this. I appreciate Mike for coming and having this conversation. Hopefully, we'll get to do this again sometime soon. Appreciate Dr. Baird for giving his information. We went way longer than we had planned on, but that's okay. We had a good time. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. If you have any questions, put them in the comments down here below. Like this video, share it. Y'all check out the book. I've got CFO Dad here. It's available on Amazon. It's available at the shop, SAU Mag store on SAU Beyond the Campus. All the proceeds of the book are going to SAU right now. All the ones that are available on SAU Mags on the shop Beyond the Campus, that's always going to go to SAU. But if you want a signed copy, that's where you can get that. You can get that on Amazon. Like, share, subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube later, subscribe to my channel there. But thank you guys again, and it was a lot of fun, and we will do it again soon, I hope.